to put blood, sweat and tears into just getting someone to answer a phone. This, was back in the days when all your leads would have come from cold calling.
Yeah.
And you cherish them like a newborn baby when they do come to fruition.
Having to go through on the switchboard and that was
there was no LinkedIn. You won't be able to find out who the decision makers were in advance. You'd just call up and
who is the MD? Asking that sort of question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, you probably triggered a few people's PTSD out there in the market.
Bringing back memories.
Ed, thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today in our Barnsley hub.
I was going to say, I feel like I should be thanking you really for hosting it and having us here, but yeah, probably worth note actually. So this is a new hub for Evri.
This is an old hub that we've expanded on a lot,
right?
To make it look new and fancy.
Yes, yeah. And when we say new and fancy, go on, like quick show reel of some of the new fancy.
So they've invested huge amounts in this facility over the years. I think in the last couple of years they've invested in the group. 25-26 had an £80 million investment.
Right.
£25 million went onto this hub.
Yeah.
And they've brought it up from being able to facilitate up to 1.4 million parcels per day.
Oh, wow.
Which is incredible.
Nice.
With a 3-minute pass through from inbound to outbound.
Yeah. So it's got a bit of an engine on it.
A bit of an engine. So we've got a mezzanine here
parcels
that we can see, which is the 3rd floor. There's a 3-floor system.
Nice, nice. Well, we'll get into it more on the hub side, but I guess for getting to know you, it'd be good to start where I typically start things. So, at what point did you realise you were a major business leader, and where were you at in life?
To be honest, mate, I don't think I would classify myself as a major business leader.
Mm-hmm.
I think throughout my career I've been a member of a team. Mm-hmm. from when I started in ops many moons ago, and grew my career. Always been part of a team, sometimes as a support function,
yeah,
sometimes as a spearhead.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been very lucky, very fortunate to work with some excellent people, some very talented people, and relied heavily on the expertise of those around me. Mm-hmm. And then tried to bring in my own skill set and my own perspective and angles. I think I realised I was quite good at my job maybe around 10-15 years ago, but I kind of had a good steer. A lot of my family are in the industry.
Right.
All the men in my family are in the industry. My dad worked for 35 years in a senior role, and he was really, really instrumental in guiding me and in helping me progress my career.
Who did he work for?
Worked for DB Schenker.
Oh, right, okay.
He was a VP in the States.
Very cool.
For, like I say, for 35 years.
Is he American? Or?
No, he's a chap from Leicester who thinks he's Welsh.
Fair, yeah.
And my uncle worked for various companies that got bought until they became GXO, and he helped roll out GXO in the UK from an operational perspective. My cousin worked in for GXO as well, did well in the sales role, and now works in waste management, which is not a euphemism. My brothers, I've got 2 brothers in the industry.
No way.
One operationally runs a warehouse in the States. Another one works for Procter & Gamble on their automation team.
Yeah.
My grandpa, full shebang. Imagine how fun Christmas dinner is.
That's what I was going to say, like family gatherings, you must be, yeah.
Those on the outside must really regret the invites.
I can imagine. And that's got to be like, from a guest perspective, I don't know, we might have to make this a thing, but like, is that 5 or 6 family members in the industry?
Yeah, 6, I
If we
think.
include and that's including yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe 7.
6, I think, with me.
Yeah, 6 including you. Yeah, might have to start seeing if anyone can top that. That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
But I guess from a career perspective, I kind of always I've had a head start to a lot of people because I've had such good guidance around me, and it's meant I've been able to lean on the wisdom and expertise of people who've done the hard yards already.
And I guess then, growing up, then did you always know you were going to go into logistics?
Oh no, no, I don't think many people do. I fell into it like everyone else.
Yeah.
I went to uni, had grand ambitions. Once they all fell apart, got a job interview lined up. I lived in Manchester at the time, so the job interview was in Cheetham Hill.
Yeah.
I was so good at logistics, I managed to get a bus to Stockport.
Wow.
And must have. Wow, I think they offered minimum wage, and I was happy to take it. So I got the job.
You've got me intrigued. What was the dream after uni? What were you wanting to do?
I wanted to do some writing. I was very keen to do script writing.
Yeah.
And tried to work on that for a while, but unfortunately didn't quite have it in me.
Yeah, fair. Getting brought into the world of logistics from Cheetham Hill, I can say, is probably a wide berth. So. fair. Oh, very cool. And who would you say then your first real company? Well, where was the first company that you worked at where you were in a leadership position?
It was probably my first foray into sales. So my dad always told me to learn the product. My dad had done well in sales, and told me to learn the product, learn the industry before trying to put myself in front of clients. So after about 8 or 9 years of ops, of learning the trade, I got into sales. I was at a small family-run forwarder in North London, and was putting bits of proposals and bits of business together that incorporated different teams and different business units traditionally, and would kind of spearhead those and try and bring the various expertise from the business together for the benefits of that client. Probably culminated with they were a very old school kind of freight forwarder, road freight, sea freight, air freight business. Managed to somehow win some business doing warehousing. We had a little shed in Heathrow. Had no idea what we were doing. It was doing very early days e-com, D2C, handbags, and we went down, started handballing. Me and my mate handballed a container.
Yeah.
Didn't have a WMS, so sort of just tried to set that up from some spreadsheets, and then.
And what sort of, just to timestamp it almost, what sort of brands were like at their peak at this point?
This is probably.
You said early e-com, so.
Yeah, this is probably about 2010 or give or take.
Yeah.
Very early e-com. There's I don't remember who would have been around at that stage.
I look back sometimes. It's like, you've got like your benches, you like
Bench would have been up there, yeah.
And Henleys, they all had an era, didn't they? I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It was the days of Bench.
Yeah.
So again, just was lucky enough to have some good heads around me, and a loose leash from the management, which was brilliant. That allowed me to try and be a bit creative in a setting to try and build a product out.
Nice.
So that was probably my first real bit of work within leadership and entrepreneurialism. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I guess looking back, did you feel the fact you started at a small forwarder, you were straight into the shed, the proposals? Do you think that was a good grounding for you? Or if you look back in hindsight, do you feel you could have, had a better start working for a bigger company or a bigger brand?
To be honest, I've been pretty fortunate. So before then, I'd worked at DSV and had seen the conglomerate, the bureaucracy around those kind of beasts. And directly after I was at Global Forwarding, I'd went to Kuehne + Nagel. So I've seen both sides of it, and I do enjoy both sides of it.
Yeah.
I would say probably using stereotypes, the bigger conglomerate is a bit more stifling, and it gives you less room for creativity, but also it gives you so much collateral, so much buying power, so much success, whereas at a smaller company you really have to rely on elbow grease to progress. I think it's really good to experience both sides.
Yeah.
But I think you probably ground yourself and your work ethic in a smaller entity where there's no hiding.
Yes.
You have to build and create everything from the ground up. You have to put blood, sweat and tears into just getting someone to answer a phone. This, was back in the days when all your leads would have come from cold calling.
Yeah.
And you cherish them like a newborn baby when they do come to fruition.
Having to go through on the switchboard and that was
there was no LinkedIn. You won't be able to find out who the decision makers were in advance. You'd just call up and
who is the MD, asking that sort of question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, you've probably triggered a few people's PTSD out there in the market.
Bringing back memories.
Yeah.
But I don't think cold calling is dead by any means. I think outreach is still an important part of business-to-business transactions, and particularly more relevant to my role now, working for a large company but within a relatively unknown part of that.
Yes.
That outreach component in the sales cycle is still really important, and the fact-finding aspect of that from a customer's perspective, as in fact-finding who you are, what the company represents, what in this instance the subdivision represents, is really important, but also really not that easy. It takes a lot to convey.
It's funny, and I'm only going to give my 2 pence on, my two pence on it from a recruitment standpoint. But like, we went through this, the COVID era. It was all about, young, trendy, e-com centric talent. But then in the last year and a half, I'd say every C-level or director that we're working with, it's they're dying for the old school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, old school mentality. Like, pick the phone up, go jump, go knock on the door and stuff. So it's interesting.
I like that. That. It's interesting. But I think it's probably also pretty healthy to have a good blend, a nice balance there. If you've got the new school, the old school, I'm sure there's a medium school somewhere. I think that's a pretty good balance. It's certainly something that I've looked to establish in my team at the minute, and looking at the leadership team within our Evri Fulfilment, we've got a pretty good balance of.
Well, I'll definitely touch into this, but just to go back into the early careers piece, was there any point in your career where you took a stumbling block, or was there any point where you almost deer in headlights moment, or you had a huge mess up?
Too many to mention. There's been trials and tribulations, to be sure. I mean, working in sales in its rawest form is a collection of punches to the face that you just roll with and
wearing with a smile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So from day dot, it's been something I've experienced, and also that probably tying into that old school, new school train of thought. Working as a younger person within a older person setup. I remember in my first job in Cheetham Hill having an argument with the warehouse manager, because I was expecting them to do one thing and they wanted to do something else. And You know that.
Wait, sales and ops not getting on. That's
I know, crazy, right? So I think it's part and parcel. It's a fun. You have to learn from these things.
Yeah.
Trials and tribulations are there.
Yeah.
I think if it don't break you, it makes you stronger. I'm a firm advocate for that, and I think leaning on your experience, you learn far more from the hits, the losses. There's been some pretty big ones.
Go on, give us an example.
So going back to COVID again,
Yeah.
I was at Seco at the time. We did a huge bid on some governmental work.
Right.
It was like hundreds of millions. It was bonkers.
Yeah.
And we poured weeks, months into this bid, and we were incredible. We did such an unbelievably good job. And again, we had this big team. We drew on all the expertise from the business. We had fantastic people putting this solution together, and it was probably hundreds of pages by the end. And the feedback we got from the client was we ranked first in most of their categories for award. I think we were first in pricing as well, and as a result, they didn't trust our result, our tender, so we got dismissed as a result.
Almost too suspect for how good of a deal it is.
Too good a response.
Wow.
And so, you know, how does that percolate?
How do you plan for that? How do you? Oh wow.
But yeah, there's been many, mate.
Yeah. That is a salesperson's nightmare. Do you remember who they went with?
Yes.
Are you allowed to say?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I know they went with one competitor and then stopped using them, and that's been in the news.
Could you describe them and we play a game of charades for the audience? Or?
So, it's like this. No, that's fishing. That's what you're doing. But yeah, I think they ended up using a few different suppliers.
Yeah.
But they had a couple of favourites.
Nice. Okay. And then when we talked about being a business leader, so what was the first role you were in where you were managing people, and where were you working? And
So first role would have been at Seco. Generally speaking, the setup at Seco was that you would tender some business and work in a project as managing a team and utilising the expertise from there. And then when you get awarded that business, you'd manage a different team and then spearhead that. And then we did have a few heads in the team that grew as a result. And then when we later on at my time in Seco, we rolled out what we called initially a 5PL product, where we did the entirety of a supply chain. That involved marketing, sales, outreach, sales ops, tender management, and so there was a team there that was really strong, really brilliant. We had incredible lead gen engine that was really, really successful, and won some really nice business, and learned an awful lot in that experience on how to manage teams, how to work with people's areas.
And how big was the team at that time?
It came and went, probably 5 or 4, 3, 4, 5, depending on the needs and musts of the work that we had. Yeah.
And was there any initial game plan going into team management versus reality?
Not really. It's like most things, it's just something you fall into, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's always a desire for additional responsibility. I've always been quite ambitious and wanted to see my career progress. It's just, again, comes with the broader the opportunity, the more requirements involved from a sales perspective, the more people you have to lean on to bring that solution to bear, and
Yeah.
that kind of brings that extended team together just through necessity.
And have you always been fulfillment? Because I know you've mentioned some freight forwarders, and but is it like, at what point did you start to really angle in on the fulfillment solution?
To be honest, no, I've not always been fulfillment, and I don't particularly fully angle into fulfillment now, albeit my current role is fulfillment oriented. One of the great things about Evri, and something that no one knows about Evri, is actually they do an awful lot more than just final mile parcel.
Yeah.
And it's not just fulfillment either. There's a lot more there. So I had dabbled in fulfillment. So before Evri, I'd worked at Seco, and before there, I'd dabbled into fulfillment ops and sales a little bit. It was only really at Seco that I worked in fulfillment a bit more extensively. But even then, it wasn't purely fulfillment. So at Seco, we had some pretty cool solutions, essentially outsourcing the entirety of the supply chain. So one of my big wins there was for a hotel chain, where we did their demand planning, we automatically raised their purchase orders for them, did a little bit of sourcing, we funded their inventory, we did the inbound supply chain, multiple warehouses, and then final mile.
Yeah.
And so the upstream, downstream of that is really awesome. But the hinge throughout these is always the warehouses. That's kind of the center focal point of the upstream, downstream.
Yeah.
And it was through my experience there that I realized how important the fulfillment aspect of an operation was, but also how you could, through tech, through standardization of solutions, how you could actually draw in a lot more than just that fulfillment to drive real benefits for clients, but obviously as well for the fulfillment house or operator.
And this is more from an outside looking in to the industry. Is there a certain size of company that at a certain point should, for example, a smaller freight forwarder, like at what point should they start to try to include fulfillment as like part of that, like you say, central solution? Does it?
So as far as what the industry would probably call a 4PL solution, where it's putting everything through one supplier, there's not a particular bandwidth of size.
Yeah.
It's actually really interesting that I've got a stat just up my sleeve just for you.
Yeah.
The compound aggregate growth, compound annual growth for e-com 4PL is like 12%, which is huge. And 4PL in general is growing sort of 7 to 9% depending on region. So there's huge potential there, and particularly in the e-com world where the size is not the be all and end all. Generally speaking, that's because traditionally 4PL was a big tech stack and was really difficult to implement and took a lot of groundwork. These days, a lot of the barriers to entry have been removed. There's standardized tech stacks, there's standardized solutions. That means you can just click and play, away you go, which is brilliant. And I think it is the future for logistics, which is why it's really exciting being at Evri, where there's these absolutely huge departments within Evri that no one's heard about. So Evri International do something like 4 million kilos of air freight a week passes through the tills.
Wow.
They do something like 250 million customs import entries into the UK a year.
Yeah.
They've got a badge, a customs license in every airport in the UK. No one's heard of that.
Yeah.
And so stitching that together, that's the inbound and the customs. You stitch that into the warehousing, and obviously they're very strong on the final mile and the returns aspect of deliveries. There's a full end-to-end solution there,
Yeah.
which is really exciting.
Yeah. And I know Evri have a pretty big market share as far as brands and e-com's concerned. So, do you feel like there's the go-to-market sort of strategy would be start there, and see if you can, expand solutions within the already existing customers?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been, I'm pretty new in my time at Evri. I'm at the moment 3 months in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised by how just internally the strength of the brand and the collateral that carries with the internal customer base.
Yeah.
They've got an incredible accounts management team. Again, I was really pleasantly surprised by that. They're phenomenal. I think they're probably award-winning, and from a fulfillment perspective, the clients that we see approaching us, showing interest is amazing. We've had open days where we've opened the floor to prospective clients, and some of the logos that come through the door are just unbelievable. In a previous roles, it would have taken me years to get that kind of footfall
Caliber, yeah.
And yeah, the sway of the brand is incredible here.
Yeah. And what was your main reason for wanting to join Evri?
It's that the potential and the hunger. So the potential of the Evri Group is incredible. We saw last year the merger with DHL,
yes,
acquisition of Coll-8. There's a war chest that they're using, which is really nice to see when a lot of other entities are turtling, and they are investing huge sums. So 25-26 was an £80 million investment in the network. This year they're projecting a £100 million investment.
Wow.
Just in fulfilment. We've invested probably getting on for 8 million in phase 1 of our setup, and phase 2 and 3 will come with additional investment. That potential is phenomenal, and then the hunger is incredible as well. The hunger to grow, the insatiable hunger to grow. It's really taken me back, and I'm again very pleasantly surprised. And that was a big thing for me when assessing my options. As an example, the fulfilment division was looking to set up a wet bond.
Yeah.
And normally you'd have to put a business case together, it'd take you a long time, and then you'd send it to leadership and they'd mull it over and question your ROI and look into all these other facets. Here it was just, right, what's the opportunity? Okay,
bang, bang, bang.
Do it. When's the ROI? Just do it. Yeah. What is there a willing and able customer base? Just do it. Right. It's brilliant. It's unbelievable. It's a dream. Yeah. And it means that we can, we've got this new facility opening. We've got a blank canvas, and we can really just the world's our oyster. We can build all these different solutions for our customers, and I don't know many others that are able to do that.
Yeah. And is Evri's fulfillment model, is it go and acquire assets and build fulfillment centres, under ownership, or is it more hybrid in a sense of go down the asset light route and,
No, it's Evri are pretty asset heavy.
Yeah.
So we are, and we've got a really strong network already. So again, that's another pretty core USP. We've got all these facilities throughout the network, throughout the world, UK, Europe, US, where we can lean on the infrastructure available. If we need to carve out some space, we can do. And then if we need to invest, like we've invested a lot already in facilities, and there's a strong appetite to invest further for the right opportunities.
Yeah. that is interesting. And how, like, for the fulfillment arm, like, where do you think it's at in terms of capacity? I don't know whether you would need a really surgical, but if you were to say, hey, like, there's 20%,
So again, this is a pretty interesting rise from fulfilment. Evri Fulfilment has only been an entity for around 4 years,
Okay.
and they're opening their 5th facility next week.
Right.
Capacity-wise, that facility is it's busy. It's not anything like full. We have got capacity, but also we've got a huge amount of interest.
Yeah.
Which has come very organically, just through the interest from within the current client base.
Yeah, because I suppose it does make it quite easy for the client, right, in terms of just all under one umbrella versus branching out off.
And there's a lot of benefit around that. So you can that end-to-end solution, having one tech stack to integrate into, having one throat to choke, one account manager that covers everything, it means that you've got huge potential savings. You can look at, essentially we try and look at everything in 3 ways: speed, accuracy, cost benefit.
Yeah.
Once you're combining your supply chain, combining the component parts of your supply chain, you can really look to leverage that speed, accuracy, cost benefit. So as an example, through utilising end-to-end providers, you can reduce costs by as much as 12%, just in straight up overheads. You can improve visibility by variable, but as much as 90%. I've worked previously where in an operation where we've automated the processes from PO raise. So we had a demand planning tool that automatically raised purchase orders when inventory levels got too low, then automatically raised the sales, a shipping order with origin, factory, shipping line, origin office, automatically sent ASNs through to warehouses once goods were on the water, so that we'd removed the upstream touch points, human touch points, by as much as 80%.
Right.
And just through the ability of having that one tech stack, one supplier, one throat to choke, there's huge benefits to customers. I really do think it's the future.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned and touched on DHL, and you have only been here for 3 months. So, but that said, I still imagine through people, you've probably got a good understanding of like how that initial DHL merger and Evri has gone. What's that been like for Evri Fulfilment and working across the wider org?
It's been a real breath of fresh air, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's a lot of synergies there.
Yeah.
A lot of compatibility. Evri work with something like 80% of the high street, and DHL probably work with a similar sort of number.
Yeah.
So there's already a lot of cross-pollination across customer bases. We are working with some different parts of the DHL network, and we were talking on Monday about, we're working on this bid, are you working? And there's a lot of clients that we're working on collaboratively, unknowingly, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So once we bring that together and actually sit down and work on those opportunities together, that's only going to be beneficial all round for the customer, for Evri, for DHL.
And like a bit of a silly question, but like, has it caused any, I guess, problems across like maybe pricing or like project planning, things like that? Is that? I'm just speaking from an outside looking in, that typically two monster organizations coming together, you might end up in that almost comical moment of like, two players running into each other, or, there's a...
So, certainly from an Evri perspective, it's a very small line of command. There's 3 levels essentially for us to navigate. So the guys that are spearheading the merger, that are working across these different business functions, are involved in everything and have got oversight of everything. So I've not seen any teams working at cross purposes, and similarly the DHL task force that are working with us are overseeing everything across multiple divisions. And so the fact that we've got a small chain of command, and then people overseeing everything and being instrumental in overseeing and forcing decisions and working on the individual tenders has been brilliant. And so it means that though the opportunity for catastrophe to tread on each other's toes has been very minimal, and it's really just effective leadership, effective management, and having the tech stack behind you to enhance your visibility, make sure that you can see the opportunities coming through the tills, you can bring the right people in from the right teams to help on those opportunities, from whether blue or yellow, from both sides of the table.
Nice. And do you feel like going out there to acquire more business, that that partnership is gonna well, could you explain how that partnership is like hit the market? What exactly is that proposition out there to serve?
It's working with essentially the best of both worlds. So traditionally, Evri were considered a kind of low cost D2C consumer oriented entity.
Yeah.
And DHL are much more B2B premium, clinical focused, and it's bringing the best of both together so that there's a uniform solution for customers. Which is very cool. But also it's knitting together all the different components of the supply chain. So DHL are far from just being that final mile delivery service. There's 500,000 employees around the world. They're involved in every facet of supply chain, and likewise Evri do a lot more than just that final mile. Touched on it a lot already. Being able to knit those different areas of expertise, different areas of expertise within verticals, within solutions, within specific customer bases is just nothing but beneficial.
No, it's interesting because I guess like there are, in the e-com space, a lot of them now have, slight luxury range. Then there's probably, a mix. So it probably, helps a lot with
exactly
with the bulk of those type of
And if you look into the apparel markets where the major growth has been in the last few years, probably post-COVID, a big component of that growth has come from luxury, from having luxury products available on a D2C basis, but also a lot of it has come from retail having I'm a firm advocate that the high street isn't dead. I think it's going to make a comeback. It is making a comeback, and it will continue to. So having multi-channel availability is really important. Understanding the nuance around retail and wholesale, and understanding the difficulties around delivery. We've talked predominantly about the UK here, but you look at the US, it's a different kettle of fish. There's a lot of complexity around retail compliance. I think that's going to come more and more into the UK and EU, particularly with Walmart placing a flag in the UK and EU. So I think we can expect to see a lot more around we're going to need to see a lot more agility in how we deliver to our customer bases, whether it is that final mile D2C or into retail or into stores, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the high street isn't dead. Like, I don't know, I think since we've moved our studio onto Bridge Street, which is literally on Deansgate, you know, we do these, especially in this summer, like we've done quite a few walks all the way down Deansgate, and it's absolutely heaving. Like the footfall is crazy, and you know, you're hearing all this stuff of we're in, you know, cost of living crisis, which, you know, I'm not doubting, but like people are still out there, they're still spending, they're still, you know, they're still shopping. So definitely says a lot for the high street. I want to get into probably in terms of, you know, having come through the industry as a very good salesperson into leadership, what kind of advice would you give you know, a salesperson maybe at the start of their career within fulfillment or within, you know, the industry in general?
So I think there's probably 5 areas where to focus on when you're looking to establish yourself into sales. And I think the most important thing in work in general, but particularly in sales, is you've got to have a yearning for learning. You've got to be out there learning all the time, constantly looking to push yourself. I was really fortunate in my career. I was put through Chartered Institute for Logistics and Transport, which was brilliant. It helped ground a lot of my ideas and build theory around them. I've been able to do various different training courses to help progress my career. And then recently I've worked a lot in marketing, which has been new to me, but absolutely fascinating. I've read up on it a lot. And I would say learning is all a really important part of growing your career in general, but particularly in sales. I think you have to have a strong level of organisation. Yeah, organisation is really important within sales because you're constantly spinning plates. You're constantly battling from one place to the next. Yeah. Having the ability to quickly draw up information from your previous conversation, from your previous tender, from whatever it was you were doing with a client, I think is really important. But also being organised in yourself, in your daily management
practice,
and practicing making sure that you're not going to be late to a customer. I've had it before when I got to a client meeting and late, and client said, "Oh, I thought you worked in logistics, mate." Oh. It doesn't go down well.
Yeah.
I think you've got to have a lot of determination. You've got to have a lot of hard work in you. I think there's a huge amount of elbow grease in sales. I think it's a 90% luck scenario, but you build your own luck through graft, through elbow grease, through putting in the hard yards.
Yeah. Well, you say you've like recently, you know, got into the marketing bit. Is there anything in particular that you like have come across that's really helped in recent? You know,
loads.
What sort of things would you?
Loads. So how you can angle yourself towards your client demographic, how you build an ideal client profile, and present to them, and how you angle that, I think is really, really important. But also how you navigate the touch points in marketing and in sales. So you know, back in the day they said there was 7 touch points to a sale. Yeah. I think that was from some marketing research in the 1920s when there were 3 channels, and it's very, very different these days. It's more like a 70 or 80 touch point process from initial inquiry and understanding of an entity through to final sale. So
does that come down to the value of the sale? You know, a logistics or fulfillment contract would entail, being at that many touch points, because it's
that's not even just for. That's not market research for logistics. That's in general.
Oh, right, just in general.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So B2B sales is a long clinical process where oftentimes your decision makers, particularly in logistics, are C-suite. You need to convey the conciseness that they expect, that you would expect in a C-suite pack, but also the clinical attitude and professionalism that they expect to see. I think that marketing perspective is really, really important. It's how you convey yourself, how you portray yourself to your audience. And I think we're coming towards an era where a lot of our marketing will be done through Google, but also through large language, Copilot, ChatGPT, what have you. I think lead generation engines are going to be built just out of, they've got different names for it these days, but GEO is going to be pivotal. You know, if you think about if you were remortgaging your house and you went on to ChatGPT and said which is the best mortgage provider, and they say whoever, you're going to put a lot of value in that recommendation. The same applies for fulfillment, for logistics.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to then touch into technology.
Cool.
Because I think last 5-10 years there's been loads of development. Where do you see the technology currently in terms of some of the good things that you've seen develop, and hit the market?
I guess probably in 3 areas for me specifically. So how I use it currently, just on a day-to-day basis, which is largely AI orientated. How I've seen it in supply chain and how we can automate the administrative side of logistics and the tech stacks, and then what we're looking to do in our new Barnsley hub, in our fulfilment centre, where we're going to lean heavily on automation. So for me personally, I'm very reliant on AI and technology. I use it day in, day out. I use it for everything from organisation and time management to building out prospect lists, building out ICPs, helping prospect new clients, building prospective packs for proposals, commercial analysis, really across the board. Probably use it more than I should, more than is healthy. Use it for my daughter's birthday party recently.
Scary.
Helping to track who was coming, who hadn't, and who'd given what present. Full shebang.
Follow-up texting game was probably quite good then.
Exactly.
Thank you for X gift. Nice.
And then supply chain wise, I think I mentioned earlier about how we can streamline the upstream part of the supply chain. We've got some really cool use cases recently where you've got tech now that can scrub a customs doc, auto-populate into the import-export management systems, we're looking to implement a wet bond into our new warehouse where we'll have duty and excise relief, a bonded area for duty and excise, and looking to streamline that process through AI so that we can once we want to release the goods from the bond, we've got a streamlined process. These kinds of things save time, save money, improve accuracy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then within our warehouse itself, we're like I said, we're looking to lean heavily on automation. So we've got, I'll be able to show you in a little bit. Actually, we've got a omni sorter. We'll have 3 omni sorters in phase 1 of our launch. Omni sorters are in place to streamline the pick part of the order processing. Means we can do around 1,500 units per hour per sorter.
Yeah.
We're implementing AI CCTV, which will be really cool. That'll help a lot with security.
Yeah.
It'll give us instant notifications to authorities, to us as well. But if there's a force majeure, if there's a fire or a flood, or if there's a burglary, it'll instantly notify the police or whatever the case may be. It will mean that we've got heightened security within the facility. We'll have go, no-go zones for, it'll track people's faces and alert us if they're going into an area where they shouldn't go.
Yeah.
It'll help with just like basic things like, if a container if a client comes to us and says, oh, this container was there for 5 hours, it should have been there for 3 hours, why didn't you offload it? We'll just be able to, it'll have vehicle plate registration notifications so that we can just track and see instantly if that was true or not, what the case may be. It's going to be a really useful bit of kit. We're going to have something called a pallet audit robot, which goes up and down the aisles and just makes sure that the right pallet is in the right location and tallies with what's in the system.
Yeah.
We're going to have a little cleaning robot called Clive, just going up and down the aisles.
I love the name of some of these robots. It's Clive. It's great. Some of these old school names are coming back, aren't they, through technology?
There you go. And that's phase 1 of our automation. Phase 2 and phase 3 will be further, whether that's a auto store or something else. We're really excited to see how far we can push that technology.
Well, just through a quick pan of the of the site here in Barnsley, you can just see it almost so obviously as to how sort of tech led the site is. What was, I mean, you might not know the answer, but like, what was the reason to decide Barnsley was going to be the site you were going to really throw investment in? And
I think it's legacy and location.
Right.
I think legacy-wise, Evri Yorkshire-based company, always have been.
Yeah.
And we're not far off our head office in Morley and Leeds.
Yes.
But also the M1, the backbone of the country.
Yeah.
And not being within the constraints of the Golden Triangle, where labour costs are a lot higher, rent is a lot higher.
Yeah.
There's some downsides there, so it makes a lot of sense logistically, and then there's the legacy as well.
Nice. Well, I'm going to finish off with some quick fire questions. So, sporting wise, what was your sport either growing up or currently?
Not no more, unfortunately. I used to play rugby a lot.
Yeah.
Used to enjoy rugby until it got a bit too scary.
Well, I was going to say off cam, I know you said you played scrum half, which makes sense why you've gone down the sales route.
Being gobby.
Yeah. Fair, that lends a hand. No, very cool. In terms of kiddies, I know you said you got 2. Like, is it boy and a girl?
Boy and a girl.
Is that right? Yeah. So like, I can't imagine the pressure he's going under. Like, he's got to be in the industry. He's got to be number 7.
I know, and I was thinking, is that good or bad? Actually, I think he's a very clever boy. I think he might be a bit too clever for it. I don't know, maybe. We'll see.
How old is he?
7.
7.
At the minute, I think he wants to be a motorcycle driver.
Right. Oh, cool.
So there you go.
Nice. Well, do every sponsor any motorsport?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess it's a DHL thing, isn't it? With
DHL sponsor everything.
Yeah.
They sponsor these couches by the looks of things.
No, very cool. And then I guess in you know, in your career, I know you've been on quite the journey. If you were going to go back to when you first went into the industry, like what kind of advice would you give yourself?
I think attitude and embrace everything. Make sure that your attitude is always open-minded and optimistic, and really embrace everything, all the pitfalls, all the hurdles. Really embrace them, learn from them, and position yourself so that the next time that comes around, you're equipped for it.
Nice. Well, Ed, thank you for having us. It's been really good, good conversation, and I appreciate you having us. Having us
Awesome. Good stuff. Cheers,
you've got a client day tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. We're going to do our very best to come and make a small appearance. But no, thank you for the
Good man. Thanks, Joey.